Hello, everyone. If you have made it this far into the tournament, I want to thank you for sticking with us. And I hope you're excited about the last part of this tournament the same way I am. And hopefully, I think the same way Sai is, who's joining me for this podcast or this round of the tournament.
Hi, this is Sai, and I'm indeed once again joining Lucid. I don't even know if we can call this the closing stages in the game, based on the parity of power between the nations that are still left in play. Like, there's no one person that I can point to and say, oh yeah, this guy's winning now. See if the rest of the game can stop him. It's more just that yeah, people are in the stage where they're essentially built up. They aren't finished research yet, or solidly into the end game, where multiple people have multiple minds. Most of the nations have access to literally all of the paths. And with the exception of, I would say, Shabalba, which is lagging behind badly in research, every nation can bring pretty much every relevant battlefield buff that they would need for a large engagement.
Yeah. So this is, like you said, multiple nines. Nobody's finished research yet, but they're probably not far away from it either. Yeah. So it's going to be a fun bit of the game going forward. I think too, another way to look at some of this is like people are having to pass checks for if they get to stay in the game. Like a coalition will shift on them, and right now the coalition is shifting to Vaettiheim, and Vaettiheim's going to have to pass a check. Can they stay in the game or not? And if you can, and the winds of diplomacy shift, you might see yourself rising up to be in a top position again. The strange thing is that we haven't seen these wins really shift into the players who might deserve the coalition the most, which is the Sacred Blood Nations. The ones left in the game haven't ever had to bear being on the wrong side of a XV1.
Yeah, that's true. And he was able to basically crawl up and render it not through any particularly clever diplomacy, but just through straight up killing the people that were going to fight him until they decided to go pick a different target.
Right. Okay, so we'll start off with the message from Tianchi. Latch here. All these bumps with the Gartha are supposed to be them giving back land for free. What a clown show. Yeah, that might be it's happened a few too many times for it to be an accident. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, that seems like Gartha does not want to return to the original borders.
Yeah.
But again, I actually think the TNG should be killing them fully at this point.
Right. A very sad, so message from Gath. A very sad and important thing is happening this month. Our beloved and glorious, yes, mistress, the prophet of Unleash Me, the omnipotent and benevolent goddess of Gath, is being grandiosely sacrificed in the ritualistic Zabalban cave. He was summoned to the goddess's headquarters yesterday, and after a lengthy conversation, he accepted the fact that while his services had been extremely valuable since the moment the Gath nation emerged, his life is not to be sacrificed for the greater good because the times have changed, and with the development of technologies, mysterious mindless constructs are now to become the new bringers of faith. As such is the will of the goddess. He will forever live in the hearts and minds of the Gathian people, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Stories about his heroic precision will be shared among the simple folk. He can actually get him back with Ritual of Rebirth then if he wants to. So,
yeah, get him to level bonus H3 that way, just in case he needs them.
Yeah.
Although in their hand, Gath is hardly struggling for that, given that they have Rootable Holy Freeze out of their capital.
Yeah. Very true.
Even have magic base on some of them.
Yeah. On a positive note, a very fun and cool thing happened this turn. I've been talking to Pan about how I need a Storm Staff, and I'd be willing to trade for Air Gems. And then I opened the turn and see that I got one from an event. I laughed my ass out. God bless Luck Scales. Another event gave me a temple. It gave me a temple in number 2, which is an 800 gold value, and it's a great spot because I had a Nabi there for a long time to offset Agartha's Dominion. But it's also a perfectly rateable spot in the upcoming war. So a question arises, do I want to invest 600 gold and 4 turns of reasonable defense to protect the temple? P.S. I'll share details and thoughts on the Vaettiheim war next turn. I wonder whether people are searching for Pan's Lich, which has 400 kills. I probably would. I don't think you can see that. I mean, we don't have Ice of God. I don't think we'll be able to see that.
Oh, yeah. It's in the Hall of Fame.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they show the kills.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, this is a good way to detect the sickle farm going up. You can also use
Or
the
at least
sickle
you
farm
actually
to farm heroic traits, as I've done in another game. But yeah, you can do it like this too. And usually the sickle farm guy will be number one. What were you saying?
Oh, I'm saying that at least they would have to ask, like, hey, who is this lich? If they don't realize what it is.
Yeah. All right. It seems that all the Dominion's gods are against me fighting Zabalba. Just when I was going to attack him, I'm getting screwed over a province, but this time by Tianchi. He bought my neutrality last war with 3 provinces and now refuses to give one of them back. So war it is. He plans to attack Pan, but hopefully 2v1 with some help from Zabalba, we can take him this time. With help from Zabalba. So Zabalba's planning on jumping back into it.
Yeah, I think that in Hualda's case, though, they need to first be able to beat the armies that they've already seen before they can go prepare for what TNG is going to be able to do once they have demonic cleansing up.
Yeah, Zabalba's only hope is they can spread TNG thin enough to gain land and maybe some forts back. They're not going to be winning any major battles where TNG gets to like have a proper fight with them anytime soon, I don't think.
Yeah, they're just too far behind in research.
Yeah. So this is, speaking of that little Erythia thing, I don't know how this was supposed to work. You would think those guys would be elementals. Maybe this is supposed to just be a flex on TNG. Like, look what if I'm willing to do this to my own mages, what do you think I'll do to you?
Yeah, that's very weird. And I can't even like see any reason that you'd want to sacrifice those guys. They weren't like afflicted to heck or anything.
So some of this is going to come in the TNG messages in the future, but they kind of went on in the game chat about this. So this province, which is the reason for Erythia going back to war, this was one of the things promised to Erythia as part of the buy-off. But TNG wanted them to take it, like, so that Pan wouldn't be able to attack them through here. Like, it made sense since it basically would force Pangaea to come through here. Mm-hmm. And they didn't take it during that whole part of the conflict. They only took it, or they only wanted access to it once TNG had pieced out with Pangaea. So it's a kind of weird situation where it's like, okay, this was promised to them and it was accepted, but then also they kind of didn't do, like, they didn't take it. They kind of didn't hold out. I mean, I don't know. It's a kind of weird gray territory, but certainly it's a fair reason to decide to go back to war because this was denied you.
Yeah, my question though is, what's Erythia actually doing? Because we don't know yet what their armies do. Like, we haven't seen them fight yet.
Right.
We haven't seen him use a proper mage deployed army in an extremely long time.
Yeah, we've seen golems going around. The problem with golems is they're very expensive raiding chassis. They die to a lot of different things, like basic mage support behind PD will often kill golems.
Yeah, they often die to getting timed out.
Yeah. So there's a lot of ways to kill them. So we know he's going to be doing golems. He's shown he knows how to use like retail mages doing big, nasty evocation things. But what we haven't seen is a lot of sophistication in protecting his mage core against like Wind of Death traps or Earthquake traps, all things that TNG is going to be able to do. So
yeah, anytime you're going into the late game as like a squishy human nation, there are so many different battlefield legs to get worried about, and that's not even taking into consideration the Flames from the Sky spam that people are going to be able to pull out as well. Right.
Now, Flames from the Sky might be a coin in Erythia's pocket, not in TNG's. TNG's, significantly behind Erythia. He's not going to with having to go for demonic cleansing, it's very unlikely TNG has it, but it's very possible Erythia does.
That's true. And Erythia also most likely has more fire gems.
Right. Do they have Eternal Pyre? They do. So their plan could just be reducing TNG armies from afar. The risk with that is some of the higher tier chaff, like Great Eagles and Vine Ogres, and like basically everything in this army except the crossbows, are going to be mostly immune to it. And then TNG's been putting like basic thug gear on a lot of his mages. So certainly important mages will be protected from Flames from the Sky, I think.
Yeah. One of the things that Demonswings actually pointed out is that TNG mages are naturally a little bit protected just to begin with.
Yeah.
Because many of them do come with armor, like even before you put on the dragon helms and so on.
Right. Yeah.
So you literally just need a dragon helmet on that guy and he'll be fairly resistant to it. Not immune, but enough that like the number of casts that they can survive become basically unreasonable.
Yeah. Yeah. Especially the best thing to kind of put on them is the Demon Bane, which is a pretty nice weapon. Well, actually, I don't know if it's really maybe it's not a weapon upgrade. It's kind of a weapon side grade, but the resistance and the HP you get from it makes you immune. So.
Yeah, the reason I was suggesting dragon helmets is that many of them do have the, as you showed just now, they do have the armor slot build, but they don't have the helmet slot.
Right.
And it also gives a little bit of fire resistance. But most importantly, it also gives morale. So it's something that's helpful just against flailing winds in general, which means that the fact that it gives them flame from the sky resistance is almost like an incidental that is bringing you, while still being something that's going to help you out in battles as well. Whereas Demon Banes are basically just for the logistics.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, the morale is a really nice bumps. They do get pretty good morale, but so yeah, I think it's going to be interesting. I mean, Erythia needs to make plays attacking. This also is my thing. Like, if TNG is going to be declaring war on Pangaea, which I think has he said that yet? I think he said that. Maybe that's next turn.
Erythia said that.
Did Erythia?
That he plans to attack Pan.
Oh, right. So he plans to attack Pan, but hopefully a 2v1 with some help from Zababa, we can take him this time. Yeah. So basically, it's kind of the same group of folks attacking him. It's going to be the same war. Like, TNG kind of got themselves out of the coalition. They're kind of getting themselves back into it, with Zabalba potentially helping Erythia and Pan. The only people who aren't in it at all anymore is really vaettiheim. So
yeah. It's kind of funny. The coalition ended, but the coalition's coming right back.
Yeah.
And that could be good news for vaettiheim as well, because it means that instead of a coalition war being fought to the knife, where, the people are just going to be doing their level best to kill them, the only person that we can say that would be stuck in to that war at this point would be Gath.
Yeah. And it's possible for vaettiheim to outplay Gath and win this. We've certainly talked through different scenarios what vaettiheim can do to defend against Gath. But it's also possible they are going to slowly lose ground and bleed out. The thing that's going to matter, if the world shifts into a mostly Pan and Erythia versus TNG with a mostly Zabalba, because I think Zabalba's much more incentivized to see vaettiheim die than he is to see TNG die. And TNG also has the monoclone. He doesn't know that yet, but I mean, vaettiheim might too. But TNG's a lot easier able to abuse the shock resistance. But there's other things vaettiheim can abuse too. So
yeah, in vaettiheim's case, I would be worried about just seeing demonic cleansing plus rear go up casually in every fight.
Right.
So vaettiheim can just very easily slap together those communions.
Yeah. Yeah. And they've got to have storm staffs and stuff. But if they have storm staffs and the kiddies have to march across the field, it's going to be a tough day for them. But yeah, I think Zabalba would be more interested in getting the Illwinter caster down than jumping on the pile with TNG. There is a risk that if Pangaea doesn't really have proper armies, which we haven't really been seeing them field, and maybe these pure mage armies can work, but if they can't, it's possible TNG could basically have a draw against Pangaea while fighting Erythia. So, and actually killing Erythia. So this might, I think that this, I have two thoughts. One thought is like, this is not a great war this is going to be a fucking horrible war for Pangaea, or for TNG to invade Pangaea. Just
going through a narrow choke.
Going through a narrow choke point with these dryads, and then Matt moved 20 something mages. So, there might be 20 mages or 100 or 150 mages in the fight. It's like, okay, great. So it's like,
yeah.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, Pangaea's defensive advantage would be pretty scary here.
Right. So you don't really want to attack them. What you actually kind of want to do is kill Erythia. That seems like a lot easier to me. So it could be that he just draws a hold against Pan and kills Erythia. And that seems pretty nice.
The hard part is going underwater.
Right.
Popping those underwater forts is very annoying, and moving over basically what's a land bridge there while you're surrounded on either side by these underwater forts that you can't take, that's very dangerous. So he could take Erythia's capital, for example, but moving into the Atlantis area, through that little choke point is very, very difficult.
Yeah, I think if I were TNG, my war goals would be to reclaim this region, like all the Pangaean land from this way, because he's already knocked out some of the armies up here. There's a big battle Pangaea lost a while ago. So maybe try to reclaim this and also come down here and take this Erythia stuff. And then maybe just from this way, take Erythia's cap. The problem with not finishing him off is you've then got a nation that's got globals up that can flames from the sky you, that's pissed off at you and is going to fight you till they're dead. So
Yeah, I don't think you can reasonably expect to take a nation's capital and not kill them.
yeah. But, you know, he could like sell these to Zabalba, or by sell, I mean give. Give these to Zabalba. Zabalba would certainly be happy to take the water system here. Pan, he's fighting. I don't know. He's going to just have to win a lot. But I think if you're playing TNG, and this is kind of what I was going to say earlier, your plan is you have to win in the mid game. So he kind of needs to start, he kind of needs to kill Erythia and then start moving.
Yeah, I agree, actually. I mean, he's already shown that he can win these big set piece battles. So I think that you're right. That should be the plan, is just keep winning battles.
Yeah. Okay, and I think we've covered all the messages. Let's see if there's anything happening here. Mostly, I think this turns a build up.
I assume that those foul spawn are feeble-minded transformation guys.
They could be feeble-minded. Yeah, okay. Yeah, he doesn't have a recuperation bless or healers, but...
Yeah, so he's trying to do the twice-born, transborn Tartarian things.
Yeah.
But when they get feeble-minded, then no, not as useful. If you get Gift of Health, those guys can be pretty good because they are still full-slot amphibians. But yeah, it doesn't seem like vaettiheim values them.
Yeah. Okay. So I think that's probably it for this. I mean, the big news this turn is Erythia jumping in on TNG stabbing Pangea. Yeah. Or deciding to.
We'll have to see how that actually plays out in practice.
Right.
But it's kind of funny that they're talking about that now while they're still setting up this anti-vaettiheim coalition.
Right.
Like, I don't think Erythia even mentioned it.
Right. Well, Erythia doesn't even neighbor them, so it's not really a news for them, but certainly they would know about it. Yeah.
Yeah, it is news for them that Pangea is not going to be deeply involved in that war. They're going to be fighting TNG instead.
Yeah. And, you know, the other exciting news, of course, is I believe this is the last turn of the nap tick down before we start seeing some vaettiheim action. So when you guys tune in next turn, we're going to see big fights over here. We're going to see Zabalba, who's moved a ton of stuff into position. We're going to see Gath, who's moved a ton of stuff into position. And we're going to see Pangea, who's got more mages than the eye can count, but not much else, all ready to attack vaettiheim.
Yeah, we'll definitely have to take a look next time at how much, excuse me, each of them are committing. Particular from that, I think we'll get a view for how serious Pangea is about this coalition.
Yeah. We'll take a good look. I think right now Pangea is playing for globals. So I think Pangea loves this. I think Pangea loves like everybody coalitioning one person then another and seeing if he can get some free land out of it while he powers up for his globals.
Yeah, we'll just have to see if it doesn't ever turn back on him.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, cool. Any closing thoughts here? This is a pretty... Well, actually, no, next turn, I was going to say we could do 2 for 1, but next turn's going to be a big one with all the battles, so...
Yeah. Given what we're about to see, I think at the start of the vaettiheim coalition will definitely deserve its own turn.
Yeah. Closing thoughts?
No, I think that's it. We should all just get hyped for the war to start.
All right. We'll see you guys then. Take care.